Mabuhay, and welcome to another episode of Pride Talks with Khen. This episode speaks about self discovery and acceptance. It tells the narrative that no matter what challenges life throws at you, with everything's going on, as long as you have faith, you are living your truth and besieged by people who support you, you will surmount whatever obstacles you may have and you will rise up like a phoenix. Our guest for today is a nurse by profession, a fitness enthusiast, and she's currently living in Australia with her wife. It's such an honor to have her in our show. Let us all welcome Michelle Lisao. Hi, Michelle. So, thank you
Hi, Khen.
for so first of all, thank you so much for accepting our invitation and welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you for the invitation. I'm actually happy that you invited me, and it's my pleasure.
So, thank you for that. So, how's the pandemic so far? How the pandemic treat you? Is there any restriction?
Oh, yes, at the moment we're on lockdown 5.0.
Wow.
Although Australia has been really good because, compared to other first world countries, I think
Mhm.
Australia has done quite a good job when it comes to controlling the COVID-19. So
Mhm.
I'm very happy and proud to say that I live here in a good country where our premier actually, for me, our premier values people more than the economy.
Yeah, that's good to know, no? And yeah, well, basically this initiative, it's a collaborative effort with my friends to promote and raise awareness about the challenges and successes of the LGBTQ community. And we're glad and happy to have you in sharing your personal life with us. So I'm a bit nervous about this interview, but we'll definitely get through this. So are you
Uh,
ready?
you know what? I have to share something with you because you don't have to be nervous. I think Estella
Okay.
knows that when I was still in my high school, I
Mm-hmm.
always have asthma attacks every time I speak in front of public. So it's one of my
Mm-hmm.
greatest fears talking in public. But I think I've overcome my fear. So now I'm happy. I'm very happy to speak in front of people and then actually share my experience. Not only being
Uh,
as an LGBT, but as a person.
yeah, that's wonderful to know. So my first question would be, in the LGBTQIA alphabet, how do you identify yourself with?
I think there's so many letters now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
but probably when I was in the Philippines, I actually don't believe in labels. But
Mm-hmm.
as per the Philippine dictionary, Philippine Society Dictionary of LGBT, I think I belong to bi back home because I had
Mm-hmm.
boyfriends as well in the past. And then when I came here,
Yeah.
I also met a few guys. But now that I've decided to, settle with my wife, my beautiful wife, I think now I belong to the less community.
Thank you so much for that, for sharing. And when did you realize you were into girls, and how did that realization affect you?
As far as I could remember, the first time I actually realized that I was actually attracted to a girl was
Mm-hmm.
probably when I was in grade one back in 1988 when I was only 6 years old. I was very young, but it
Yeah.
wasn't love. It was more like admiration because that
Mm-hmm.
person was not only very beautiful inside and out. She was very kind and she was very respectful. uh she was also very intelligent, and
Mm-hmm.
when I was younger, bullying was very rampant in
Right.
my school. So she was the only person who there's a lot of people who are not bullies as well, but she was one of the people who are not a bully, who's not a bully.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I was attracted more to her because of her kindness and that she's never a bully. When it comes to my realization that it is possible for me to be actually engaged in a same-sex relationship, I think I
Yeah.
was back in college. And that
Mm.
college was actually run by Catholic nuns.
Wow.
So Yeah, so can you imagine studying in a Catholic school, Catholic
Mm-hmm.
university, and how the Filipino society would react to being gay
Right.
during that time? I think it was like 1998. So it's still on a very early stage in the Philippines where homosexuality was not yet accepted.
Correct. Yeah. So towards your journey in discovering yourself, what has been the worst and the best part of discovering your sexuality?
I think the best part of discovering my sexuality was finding the real reason why I choose
Mm,
uh, and decide to be in a same-sex relationship. The reason why I'll tell later, because I think that's
yeah.
the twist in the story. And
Yes.
the best part was finding out, despite choosing, um, choosing my decision, and then staying in this kind of relationship and actually getting married to a beautiful wife,
Mm-hmm.
was that I found out that there are many people who actually love me for who I am and what I am and my decision as well.
Yep.
um,
Yeah.
in fact, I realized that you do not need to be accepted as normal by
Yes.
the society. I realized that I only need God, my family, my wife, and my really close friends to be happy.
Yeah, I totally agree on that. No, so sharing with the same, coming from the same experiences. So as long as you know and you accepted yourself, your family, and your friends in your side, regardless of the people, kung ano may sasabihin nila, you don't really care about them all. Na.
Uh,
Yeah.
I don't mind whatever they think.
Yes.
I think I would be more affected. I was actually affected when one of the family members found it quite difficult to accept my decision. Although it was very
Mm-hmm.
obvious when I was young because I sported a really, really short hair and I acted like a boy
Yeah.
because that was, I think, it was the norm during that time that, I didn't come out as lesbian or gay when I was young. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know what to do. I was very confused. But during that time, I think because this is what society dictated me to do, and then I followed
Yeah.
their decision. I followed what they wanted. In the end, I'm very very happy now with what I want. I followed what I wanted and my heart's desire.
That's good to know. At least at this time, you are truly happy now. And that's yun lang yung pinaka-importante is yung maging happy ka. And
Yes.
you know what? Going back in your teenage life, our friends and our friends and classmates always talk about their crushes. So is there some sort of parang uncomfortable ka when they talk about their male crushes at that time?
Oh, never. I never
Ah, that's
felt
good.
uncomfortable because I also had boy crushes.
Ah,
Yeah,
well,
so
that's good.
yeah, I was with a group of friends who had
Mm-hmm.
male group of friends as well. So
Mm-hmm.
I never felt discriminated, or I never felt uncomfortable that they also had boy crushes and I had boy crushes. But during that time when I was in high school, um, I don't remember having a girl crush. Probably some confusion before, but I was more inclined
Mm-hmm.
to boys.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good to know during those times. And you know what? There are a lot of misconceptions in the LGBTQ community. And what do you think is the biggest misconceptions for gay women?
I think I'll just have a look on my guide. So I wanna
Okay.
focus on my answers. I don't wanna get lost. I think
Okay, no problem.
there's two things that are misconceptions about gay women.
Mm-hmm.
First is if you're a lesbian, you need to sport really short hair. You can't dress women's dress. You can't be sexy. You have to act
Mm-hmm.
and dress like a man. I think that was what I was before. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
need to do this because I think people are more comfortable and they're happier to see me like that. But I wasn't actually happy. I wasn't comfortable. I actually prefer to wear the clothes that I want to wear now. I can wear dress. I can be
Yeah.
sexy. I can wear makeup, but those are not my everyday clothes and look. I prefer
Mm-hmm.
to wear something that I'm comfortable, and it doesn't
Yes.
necessarily mean that I have to wear boots all the time, or I have to wear um, high heels all the time. I actually
Correct.
prefer wearing like sporty clothes because of fitness. So because of I work out like almost 5 days a week. So most of the times my
Ah,
friends would see me in workout clothes. And
well,
then the
that's
second
good.
misconception is about gay women is that gay women or gay people will never be successful.
Yeah.
Um, I think in the Philippines, um, most gay people are actually described as, they're lost. They don't have
Mm-hmm.
future lives. They can't have family, and they will never be successful.
Yeah.
But I believe now there's really, really successful gay people in the Philippines. And here in Australia, I've met and known so many successful gay women. So I
Mm-hmm.
myself, I consider myself successful. Not because of how you describe success when it comes to like career,
Yes.
owning a car, owning a home, but I'm an ICU nurse and I'm a palliative care nurse. My description of being successful is being able to um,
Mm-hmm.
help my patients get better, look after them, care for them, and then not only the sick patients but the family members of the patients as well, that I'm able to comfort them. And lastly, the effort and then the help that I provide to the hospitals that I'm working for and have worked for in the past. So I think that's my
Mm-hmm.
description of success. Probably when I was younger, it was different definition of success.
Yes.
My ambition was to get a good career, reach into this level, not this level, but probably something higher, and own a good house, big
Yeah.
house, own an expensive car, and get a really good salary. But I think something has happened in my life where my description of success is different. Now it includes like being closer to God.
Yeah. And that's good, no? Because in today's era, actually, those misconceptions are somehow paunti-unti na din siya nawawala, no? So people now are truly, well, here in the Philippines, they're not truly accepting with the LGBTQ, but more on the tolerable side. But I think soon, with all these platforms used by the different organizations, we could definitely reach on that level of acceptance. And thank you for sharing your personal life and for sharing a glimpse of your journey towards your self acceptance and your towards your sexuality. Now, let's talk more on your personal relationship.
Hmm.
Yeah. When and how did you meet your wife? And how did you know that she's the one?
I have known and met my wife since I think around 2010, just before I left for Australia. So she was
Mm-hmm.
actually a friend of one of my students because I was a clinical instructor back home in the Davao.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't really communicate a lot for years until one time I saw her Facebook post where she was doing a
Mm-hmm.
handstand position, and it was one of my frustrations doing handstand positions. So I messaged her, I asked her, "How do you do this? Can you teach me?" And she was glad to teach me as well. And then we started talking about fitness, and I think the reason why we started our beautiful relationship was because of fitness and then healthy lifestyle.
Yeah, sharing the
And I
same
think
passion, no?
yeah, we share the same passion. And then yeah, that started 2017 when we reconnected.
Mm-hmm.
She's also a good um, pole and aerial cirque artist back in the Philippines, back in
Wow.
Davao. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't think not a lot of women actually um, practice pole fitness because probably some women would think that it's pole dancing, which is not. It's actually pole fitness. So
Wow.
yeah, I was inspired by her and how she got into fitness as well and how dedicated she is into fitness. And then she visited me here in Melbourne on 2017, and since then she has not come back yet. We're actually planning to visit the Philippines soon as the restrictions are lifted and if the
Yeah.
pandemic is better.
Yes, that's good. And thank you for that. And now, being in a relationship with a female, what do you think the advantage compared to a hetero relationship?
Oh, actually, there's both advantage and disadvantage of being
Oh,
in a same-sex
okay.
relationship. Mm.
Yeah.
One of the disadvantages is when we both have our periods. Can you
Mm.
imagine two women experiencing PMS and then mood
Yeah.
swings? It's actually a cat fight. So every month, imagine every month we have our periods. So let's say 2 weeks time, we become really sensitive, and in
Mm-hmm.
a uh, oh, we just get into a cat fight. And then one of the advantages being in a same-sex relationship with a woman is that I understand how she thinks, how my wife thinks, and
Mm-hmm.
it was easier for me to connect to my wife because I also feel the
Yes.
same. And
Mm-hmm.
one of the major advantages as well is having a double chance of getting pregnant because I'm not the only woman here in the relationship. She can
Yes.
also get pregnant. And our plan soon is to, because I've already tried a few attempts with, getting pregnant. So
Mm-mm.
if I fail, she will try to get pregnant. Probably, hopefully next year.
Oh, that's good. I will hope for the best on your plans in your family and that.
Yes,
So, what's your favorite thing about being in a relationship with in your same-sex relationship? What is the most challenging part?
I think the most favorite thing about being in a relationship with my same sex, with a woman, is clothes sharing.
Ah,
we
yeah.
share we share the same size, so we
Wow.
don't need to buy a lot of dresses. We don't need to buy a lot of clothes.
Mm-hmm.
She can wear my clothes. I can wear her shoes. I can, even underwear. We share the same underwear. So I know that's a secret, but because I'm a very stingy person, so I think it works for me. We don't need to be
Mm-hmm.
expensive. We don't need to spend a lot for our clothing.
Yes.
One of the disadvantages of being in a same-sex relationship, or not a disadvantage, but challenges, is building a family. So as I've said,
Mm-hmm.
right now I'm trying to get pregnant, and choosing the way to get pregnant and finding the right donor or finding the right man has been a
Mm-hmm.
struggle for us for the last 2 years. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
turning 40 and I feel like time is running out for me. But I'm still very hopeful, and we still pray to God. We pray to God every day that um, we will be given a chance to build our own family. So I think it's different. Being in a stable relationship with my wife is okay, but I think it will be different, and it's a step, it's a step higher if you have your own kids.
Yes, and absolutely right. And you know what? You don't look like 40. You're
I'm turning
so
40.
yeah, but you don't look like that. You're so young, youthful glow, and you're really very
Yes, thank you.
beautiful.
Yeah, I think I owe it to my wife as well because she's into the beauty industry. So
Mm-hmm.
she's helped me with my skin problems, and I'll find the best in me.
Yeah, yeah. And let's see, it shows really. Now, was there a time in your relationship that you've discussed the possible challenges that you might face as a same-sex couples, and especially in Australia?
Hmm. I don't think the challenge in our relationship is here in Australia. I think the
Mm-hmm.
challenge is coming home to the Philippines.
Ah.
I have never met my wife's family, especially her mother. Is also very religious. We both come
Mm-hmm.
from a very religious family, and I'm happy, and I'm very happy that my family, especially my mother, has come to accept what I am. I think she understood why I am, and actually that's the main reason why I agreed to have an interview like this, because I know it's one of God's purposes, why I'm here on earth. So one of the challenges is probably going home and then meeting my wife's mother and her family. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping that if we have a child, if we have our
Yeah.
kids, she will have a change of heart. She accepts me. It's okay for her, but I want her to understand that there's nothing wrong with loving my wife, with us loving each other.
Yes.
I know it's a sin. I read the Bible, every day. I listen to morning devotion, and I've started living in a Christian way of life. So I'm fully aware that people and probably God considers this a sin, but every day I ask for God's forgiveness, and then I'm waiting. I don't know what lies ahead of me, but all I know is God is a forgiving God.
Yes. And sometimes we feel the same way, like if you're living the right thing or what is really your purpose here. But as long as you're happy, you're doing, and wala ka namang inapakang tao. So I think that's really matter. Yun yung pinaka-importante nandun naman.
Oo, ayun nga, as long as wala tayong napaka na tao, and then we are happy, our family is happy,
Yes.
we don't neglect our family, and
Right.
every day we try to do good, and spread kindness and love. I think that's what matters.
Yes, absolutely. You're correct. And Mitch, thank you for have that a story of your life for your relationship with your wife. I know that some members of the LGBTQ out there will get inspired of your story and definitely will be able to come up their shelves and be the person they want to be. Now, going back in your life there in Australia, what was the idea of working and living overseas came up?
Oh, actually, I never wanted to leave Philippines. I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
stay in my comfort zone. However, when my dad got sick, he had stroke. We lost everything. He lost everything that he had worked hard for. So we had to declare bankruptcy. So in order for me
Mm-hmm.
to help myself and my family financially, especially my parents, my mom and my dad, I decided to come here to Australia and
Mm-hmm.
try working here.
I see. So family first talaga, no? That's why you decided to move to
Yes.
Australia. Okay. So as an out member of the community, can you share the difference, the level of acceptance when you were in the Philippines as compared to Australia? I'm pretty much sure that there's a huge gap between the level of acceptance between the two countries.
Um, yes, there's a huge gap, but because I've lived here since 2010, I don't
Mm-hmm.
actually know what the situation is when it comes to acceptance of LGBT back home in the Philippines, back there in the Philippines. But what I can share is um, before living in the Philippines, before leaving for Australia, I felt that I was never accepted by the Philippine society. And I don't
Mm-hmm.
blame anyone. I think the reason why I felt I was never accepted is because I actually never accepted myself. I was very confused. I struggled because I couldn't believe that, why am I like this?
Mm-hmm.
Why I'm not normal as per the Philippine Society's dictionary of LGBT.
Right.
LGBT is not normal, but that's the norms in the Philippine society. Um, so um, I did not like my past, and I'm actually sharing this experience and my stories because every person has got a story. Every person has got a reason
Yes.
why we have become like this, why I have become like this. So during that time before leaving the Philippines, I hated my past and I could not accept that I was actually sexually abused. So it actually made a huge impact and it made a huge difference of what I am right now. Um, I could not trust men during that time. That's why it was hard for me to find a stable relationship. I shifted
Mm-hmm.
from girl relationship, boy relationship, and then back to girl relationship, and then boy relationship again. And I can't say that I regret my experiences. I think that was my way of finding myself and then coping of
Mm-hmm.
what I am. So during that time, I felt like I was so alone, and I felt like I was a rebel in the eyes of my family.
Mm-hmm.
I was
Mm-hmm.
actually struggling, and I could not seek for help. I, as far as I could remember, I do not know anyone, a psychologist or a counselor who is willing to help LGBT find themselves. So when
Correct.
I got here, I was actually shocked that it's quite normal for people to be who they are. You can be LGBT, you can be gay, you can be lesbian, you can be bi, you can be
Mm-hmm.
transgender, and people don't mind. In fact, I was able to seek help from a psychologist,
Mm-hmm.
understand myself more, She helped me
Yeah.
understand that my past does not actually dictate my future. Um, she helped me realize that the struggles and pain and experience in the past are actually my motivation to become a better person. So, I actually sought for help here in Australia, and I realized that there's actually nothing wrong with me.
Yeah.
I think the only wrong thing with me is for years, I, because I was struggling, I tried to linger in pain and hurt feelings. And when I got in Australia, when I sought help from my psychologist, which really helped me a lot finding myself, um, I was happier. And even until now, it's not like 100% I accept myself. It's just that I'm happier with who I am and, being myself. Um, Also, I think here in Australia, they're more accepting because since 2017, Australia has legalized
Mm-hmm.
same-sex marriage. And I
Mm-hmm.
believe
Wow.
um, Philippines has not yet come near to legalizing same-sex marriage because of our
Right.
Catholic background. And
Correct.
then that's actually one of the reasons why I also moved in Australia and decided to take oath and become an Australian citizen because
Mm-hmm.
Australia is so loving, accepting, is so respectful of your decisions,
Yes.
and you will never feel like you're different. Being gay, uh, in the Philippines, I think you're would be ostracized or your family would gossip about you. But here, I never felt
Yes.
to be the main topic in gossips because I was gay.
Yeah. And you
Yeah.
know what? I truly admire your braveness in terms of those challenges that you encounter most from the past and how you're able to cope up with those challenges. No, so you've experienced a lot of hardships in the past, and I think that's one thing that taught you a lot of lessons and be the person who you are now. So thank you for that. I know that's a quite sensitive topic, but thank you so much for sharing, Snitch.
Actually, it's actually my first time to share in public. I'm actually planning to share this in my Facebook page or in my
Mm-hmm.
Facebook profile because um, I haven't shared it with anyone except my my really close friends, my mother, and then my wife. Um, I think this is God's purpose for me, to share what I experience and then inspire people.
Correct. And it only shows that you're a strong person, no? Kahit no matter whatever the society dictates you, kung ano man yung nangyayari sa in the past, you stand up strong and look at you now. You're a very strong and empowered woman. So thank
I
you
hope
for that.
so.
Yeah.
Every day, I try to be.
Yeah. And since you know what, going back in the Philippines, you don't have that kind of a strong support system. So who's or how's your support system there in Australia, knowing that that is a foreign land?
It's actually the best. I felt like I received better support here in a foreign land compared to my homeland. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not blaming. I'm not blaming Philippines or anyone else in the Philippines. But I think that's just how it is, and I've come to accept that.
Mm-hmm.
It's up to me whether I stay in the Philippines or try a new career, a new life in Australia.
Yeah.
Okay. I love my friends. I consider them my family here in Australia. To
Yes.
name them, uh, my friends Belinda, Alex, Dexter, they're like my family. They're like my brothers and sisters. I've known them for
Mm-hmm.
several years. Belinda even, I think more than 30 years now. So we've been really, really good friends. They have been really, really supportive of my endeavors, especially when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to marriage and marriage problems. Because I think
Yeah.
marriage, I can say that my marriage is stable, but it's hard work.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I felt like I had to put, I felt that I put more effort into my marriage more than anything else. Apart from
Yeah.
my, relationship with God. And then they've been really helpful with my plans of building my own family as well. And then another support system is my coworkers.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
I know that in the Philippines, I've never met any employer who actually foster not foster, but support LGBT community.
Yeah.
So here, I consider my coworkers my second family. I don't need to tell them who I am. I don't need to explain that I am like this. If they ask me, "Oh, have you got a partner? Have you got a husband?" I've got a wife, and they won't say anything. They won't be shocked. They won't look like, "Oh, okay," and you will never feel uncomfortable if you say that
Mhm.
statement. So I feel like, oh, I'm actually normal and accepted here. Um, they also fulfill my career needs. I feel
Mhm.
successful in my career because I feel needed and appreciated.
Yeah.
Um, I think back home, um, gender and then being gay um, actually affects like your work as well in terms of acceptance and then promotion.
Correct.
Okay?
Correct.
I've never met anyone who's actually landed like a CEO. I don't know. I haven't met anyone, but maybe there are people like
Yeah.
gay people are CEOs, or maybe they are not yet out. But here,
Yes.
they appreciate me for who I am and what I've done to the hospitals, and I feel that I have worth working as a nurse.
Mhm.
Uh, I feel that I'm actually fulfilling God's purpose of my life, which is to every day to help the sick people. I think that's
Yeah.
his um, the talent that he gave me, not only to help the sick people but also comfort the members of the sick patient, and then also my coworkers. I feel that they appreciate everything that I do, the help that I give them, and yeah, so I felt like I am fulfilled in terms of my career because of my coworkers and the way that appreciate me and accept me for who I am.
Yes, thank you. So basically, you're getting a lot of support, and to pretty much sure that you are truly happy now with your current situations, with all the support that you're getting from the people surrounds you. Now, I think we're done with our last question, Mitch. So, any advice for those who are struggling in accepting themselves and afraid of coming out? What advice can you give to them?
Um, I think there's only three things that I actually wanted to advise people who are struggling to accept themselves and then afraid of
Mm-hmm.
coming out. First is forgive. So
Mm-hmm.
first
Forgive.
forgive, yes, forgive others,
Mm-hmm.
especially those who have offended, abused, and hurt you for being you or for being gay. I believe that they do not know what they're doing and then talking about. Do not hate them. Instead, love them and show kindness. I think that's the best or the most powerful tool to seek revenge.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then forgive yourself if you feel that it is wrong, that what you're doing is wrong. Forgive yourself if you feel like being gay is wrong. Um, Second thing is forget. Try and forget the things, especially the most hurtful and painful things or memories in the past. In my case, which is sexual abuse, um, there's no point lingering in pain and then agony. They will only make you remember hurt. And the more that you remember hurt, you'll always evolve in a cycle. So
Yeah.
instead of staying in the stages of hurt and pain, be positive, be happy, and then make this hurt, ill, and pain feelings your motivation to become a better person. Um, Third thing is acceptance or accept yourself. So once you have forgiven and you've forgotten those things, you have forgiven yourself and others who have caused you pain. You'll also
Mm-hmm.
learn to forget the hurt and suffering they have caused you. So
Yeah.
then that's the only time you'll accept yourself, whatever you are, gay, lesbian, transgender, sick, poor, abuse, or whatever. So do not
Mm-hmm.
be ashamed for being you.
Yes.
Do not be ashamed because you're like this. You don't look pretty. You don't look like this person. Do not
Mm-hmm.
strive to be the person that others want you to be. Instead, trust that you are God's creation, and I believe that all His creations are great and significant. So however small you think you are, always think that you have a purpose in this life, and
Correct.
God has made you who you are. And then finally, um, I don't believe that you need to come out. I never came out. I only
Mm-hmm.
came out to my mom, or only told my mom, or exposed myself to my mom that this is the life that I chose. Um, I chose to be with a woman because of my experiences in the past. It was hard for me to trust men. I could not stay in a heterosexual relationship because of my history of being sexually abused. So I think it has made a really really huge impact on on being me. So before it was quite hard for my mother to understand that I've chosen this path or kind of life.
Mm-hmm.
But when I asked her to visit me here in Australia, I think she realized, and we made a good bond. She realized that I'm happy with where I am right now, with who I
Mm-hmm.
am, truly for being me. So my advice: you really don't need to come out. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to describe or define
Yes.
yourself that you belong to LGBTIQ or whatever letter it is. Just be yourself. Do not pretend. Do not hide. And then be proud that God has made you what you are.
So thank you so much for that very inspiring story, Mitch. I know that some of the members of the LGBT who might be listening or watching this video, they would get inspired by your stories, how you're able to face the hardships in life. And it's interesting to know that you've shared those lessons with us today. Because right now, some are just suffering for accepting who they really are, acceptance by the society, accepting by their family. So some of them are struggling for that. And I think this story helps us to understand that, living your truth and self-acceptance truly helps you to know your worth as a person.
Yes, I believe. I agree
So
with you.
thank you so much for that, Mitch. And yeah, I hope that everything will go back to normal so that you can visit Philippines soon.
Oh,
And
I hope and pray, yes.
hoping for a successful, finding out for successful your being pregnant in the future, hopefully.
Yes,
I'll
thank
pray on
you.
that as
It could
well.
be in your prayers. Thank you.
In order to heal, we must first forgive. And sometimes, the person we must forgive is ourselves. You need to acknowledge yourself. Cherish yourself as you are. Your finest work, your best developments, your bliss, peace, and healing come after you adore yourself. You give a great gift to the world once you do merely. In that simple way, you give others authorization to do the same, to cherish themselves. Delight in self-love. Roll in it. Luxuriate in it as your daylight. As Siddhartha Gautama said, peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. Keep in mind that if you want to fly, give up everything that weights you down. And always remember, to love oneself is the starting of a lifelong sentiment. Thank you for tuning in for today's episode. For more updates, you can always visit our social media accounts in Facebook, Spotify, and YouTube. Pride Talks with Kent. Have a good day. Bye!